Hi there, this is a short how to play video for our board game Terminus. This video will cover most of the gameplay and rules, but for a comprehensive run-through, please refer to the rulebook. To recap, Terminus is a route building and resource management game about building your own subway. The game takes place over 4 rounds, which we call years, during which you build your subway line and compete to earn the most victory points, which we call prestige. Players start with a set amount of coins and resources, then take turns performing one action at a time. These range from obtaining resources, acquiring tiles, placing meeples, and most importantly, building their subway line. Once all players have passed in the year, they clean up parts of the board, obtain more coins and resources, then start the next year. Once all 4 years are over, players score prestige and whoever has the most points wins the game. To set up the game, place the city board on the center of the playing area. Place the resource cubes on their corresponding spaces. Place developments above the development action area. Shuffle each project deck and place them face down above the lobby action area. Take 2 agendas from each type at random and place them face up above the lobby action area. Place all upgrades face up above the improve action area with the 2 free upgrades at the top. Choose a player color and take that color's game pieces and player board. Place your Terminus station on the left end of the station tracker, then the stations on the rest of the station tracker. Place 2 of your markers on the leftmost spaces of the budget and ready trackers. Place your lobbyists on your lobbyist supply. Place your rails next to your player board so they can be easily reached. Place your action marker on the pass space on the action loop. Place your remaining marker on the time tracker. Each turn, players take an action by moving their action marker clockwise on the action loop and onto that action's corresponding circle. Actions are divided into 6 areas of the action loop, which will be covered later. Actions are open to all players and cannot be blocked. Once they have taken an action, their turn ends and the next player starts their turn. The time tracker measures players' remaining time in the year located at the end of the action loop. When a player moves their action marker past the time tracker as part of their turn, they must decrease their time marker by 1 space, then continue towards another action. Players can only cross the time tracker a maximum of 2 times a year. If they can no longer decrease their time marker, then they must immediately pass and instead move their action marker to the pass space. Eventually, all players will pass during the year, which will start cleanup, followed by the start of the next year, which will be covered later on. Starting with the first player, everyone takes turns placing their Terminus station for free on the city board. All players start the game with 10 coins, 2 rails, and 1 document, as indicated by the markers on their player board. These markers will also determine their budget at the start of later years. Players then begin their turns, one after the other. Scoring occurs at the end of the game, consisting of 5 categories: stations adjacent to developments, agendas, projects, your station tracker, and remaining coins. Those will also be covered in detail later on. The actions are divided into 6 different areas on the action loop: develop, lobby, improve, market, material, and build. Develop actions involve developments, which are tiles that offer new, better actions. In order to use them, the tile must be on the city board and must have a lobbyist on it. Whenever you go to that tile's corresponding action area, you can perform that action instead of another normally on the action loop. The first action is to take a development, spend 1 document, take 1 development, and place on the city board, then place 1 lobbyist on it. The second action is to move a lobbyist. Take 1 lobbyist from a development and place it on a development adjacent to one of your stations. Alternatively, you can take 1 lobbyist from your supply and place it on a development. Lobby actions involve agendas and projects. Agendas are cards that reward prestige if you meet its requirements at the end of the game. The requirements are shown in the upper portion and the prestige amounts are listed below. Projects are hidden tiles that confer resources and/or endgame prestige if you submit them during play. Their requirements are depicted on the left side of the tile, and each year's rewards are listed on the right. The first action is to lobby for agenda. Spend 1 document to place lobbyists on an agenda. This locks you into that agenda and any prestige you might earn from it. More players on an agenda will increase the number of lobbyists to be placed on it. The second action is to lobby for project. Spend 1 document to draw 3 projects from the current year's deck. Keep 1 face down next to your player board, then shuffle the rest back into the deck. Place 1 lobbyist next to your project. The third action is to submit a project. Select one of your projects, return its lobbyist back to your supply, and get 1 coin. Then either flip it face up and collect its reward if you meet its conditions, or keep it face down for endgame prestige. Improve actions involve upgrades, your resource budget, and the engineering resource. Upgrades are tiles that you can buy to improve certain parts of the game. Your resource budget determines what resources you get at the start of every year. Engineering is a resource that can be used to purchase upgrades, but also to build your subway stations on the board. The first action is to buy an upgrade. Spend the cost of the leftmost upgrade slot that is available on your player board to take one upgrade and place it there. The second action is to change your resource budget. Spend 1 coin to move your resource budget marker to any other space, changing your budget for later years. The third action is to buy engineering. Spend coins to collect engineering. Each cube's cost is based on the column it is in. You may do this multiple times during the same action if you can afford it. Market actions involve documents and power and work similar to the buy engineering action. The first action is to buy documents, spend coins to collect documents, and the other action is to buy power, spend coins to collect power. In both actions, each resource's cost is based on the column it is in. You may do this multiple times during the same action if you can afford it. One key note about buying engineering, documents, or power: anytime you collect these resources from the board, you potentially increase its cost. However, anytime a player spends resources, they are put back on the board and decrease their cost. Material actions involve buying rails, collecting construction, and readying. Readying refers to the unlocking of stations on your player board in order for you to build them, represented by the ready tracker underneath your stations. The first action is to buy rails. Spend coins to collect rails. You may do this multiple times during the same action if you can afford it. The cost is indicated on the board above the action. You may also take this action at the build action area. The second action is to collect construction. Collect all construction for free from the leftmost depot with at least 1 construction. You can only take the construction in the depot even if it is less than the maximum. The third action is to ready materials. Spend 1 power and 2 to 3 construction to move your ready marker 1 space to the right. The construction cost depends on the amount of construction currently on the depots. Thresholds on the depots indicate when the cost changes. Any stations to the left of your ready marker are available to be built later on. You may do this multiple times during the same action if you can afford it. Build actions involve buying rails and submit project, which were covered earlier, and most importantly, building your subway. On the build subway action, spend 2 construction and 1 document as an initial cost to start building. Then, using rails that you've previously bought, build a line from the end of your subway line towards an unoccupied station space. Then, spend 1 engineering to place a station on that space. You may do this multiple times during the same action if you can afford it. You may also choose to build your line towards another player's station. This means you've made a connection. The owner of that station may choose to receive 1 construction from the leftmost depot. For the purposes of the build subway action, that station acts as the end of your subway line. You must continue building your line from that station either on your current action or on a later build subway action. You cannot build your subway line in a way that crosses itself, skips any unoccupied station space or any unoccupied rail spaces, uses other players' lines as your own, makes branches in different directions, or uses any stations to the right of your ready marker. Once all players have passed in a year, they start cleanup. Remove any remaining projects from the current year from the game. Move the year marker to the next year. Move players' time markers back to the first space. Players collect their budget based on the trackers on their player board. Once all 4 years are over, players proceed to end game scoring. Players earn prestige based on these 5 categories. Stations adjacent to developments. In this example, red earns 3 prestige for the 3 stations adjacent to this development. Agendas that players have placed lobbyists on, having met at least the minimum conditions to earn any prestige. In this example, green earns 10 prestige from his subway line with this agenda. Projects submitted for endgame, having met their conditions to earn any prestige. In this example, green earns 5 prestige for having the most lobbyists on blue tiles. The player's station tracker, having uncovered any prestige. In this example, green earns 5 prestige for having uncovered them on their station tracker, and any remaining coins, where every 4 coins equals 1 prestige. In this example, green earns 2 prestige for having 8 coins left. Players tally their prestige, and whoever has the most prestige wins the game. In the event of a tie, the player who is farthest on their station tracker wins. If there is still a tie, then all tied players win. And that's it. Again, a more complete rules and gameplay explanation can be found in the rulebook, which we've added in a link below. That's Terminus. Thank you so much for watching.